Maybe it's the dog days of summer, but I have been a distracted reader as of late. My bookshare numbers have taken a mid-year dive as other things start vying for my attention. My latest non-bookshare obsession has been the Netflix show Stranger Things. It's been pure word of mouth, with tons of people telling me I needed to check out this love letter to 80s Steven Spielberg and Stephen King. And oh my god, they were right. This 8-episode series is nearly perfect in its execution. I love this show. Winona Ryder is absolutely fantastic. It is no mean feat to play a nearly hysterical, overly distraught mother episode after episode without it feeling overdone or one note. She is consistently convincing, but David Harbour as Police Chief Jim Hopper is incredible. He is the emotional anchor for the show, and his quiet emotion is the perfect counterpoint to Winona Ryder's frantic Joyce Byers. And I love that they somehow got a young Will Wheaton to play 11. Okay, so technically that's Millie Bobby Brown, whose name I love. That does so much with so few words, but the true stars of the show are the trio of boys tooling around town on their bicycles looking for their friend Will. It is a nod to that 80s trope of boys on bikes made famous by E.T., but also with Goonies. And I just love these bikes with their banana seats and their lowrider handlebars and the cobbled together lights and poor paint jobs. Prop master Linda Rice talks in an article in Wired about her struggle finding bikes to typify this era. Most of them have been destroyed because they were considered unsafe, so finding multiple copies of the same bike proved very difficult, needing one for the boys to ride, a backup version, a stunt version, and a stunt backup version. And it actually led to her having to create a few bikes on her own. I know I fixate on the bikes, but they were such an integral part of my growing up, and frankly, the show wouldn't exist in today's day and age. I mean, first off, those kids would look like little douchebags in their mountain bikes with their supersized knobby tires and their front suspension, not to mention the goofy helmets they'd have to wear. And frankly, they wouldn't even be allowed to bike outside after dark, which means Will never would have disappeared, and then this series never would have existed. But even on the off chance that Will was somehow disappeared after a parent-organized play date, the kids would be screwed as soon as they hopped on their bikes and were being chased by cars. Frankly, they would be done in a matter of seconds. They'd have no sense of the city. They wouldn't know where the paths lie, where the shortcuts were, where the backyards were unfenced. And frankly, they'd be mowed over as soon as they got off their bikes to cross a busy intersection. Things are just safer now. There's no way you'd be allowed to have a Castle Byers out in the forest or have unfettered access to a junkyard without some parent group freaking out. I mean, back in the 80s, I think the parents were just too busy smoking to even care. Even sewer pipes and sewer grates, always important for this type of story, they really lock those suckers down nowadays. I remember when I was about the age of the boys in Stranger Things, we would play a game called Manhunt, which is basically a glorified outdoor hide and seek. We'd use the school property as the boundaries and would try and find each other. One of the best players of the game would pry open the sewer grate and crawl inside and hide, never to be found. When we banned him from doing that on anyone hiding in the sewer grate, he would actually come before the game, stash a little plastic bag, and when the game started, open up the plastic bag, put on a fedora, an overcoat, and walk in plain sight in this sort of dim, dark evening light, staying well within the boundaries. And we'd never bother him, thinking he was some sort of senior taking an evening stroll. He was an absolute genius at the game. And then I have a coworker that also grew up in the same neighborhood that I did. He remembers going out past the pig farms outside the outskirts of the city, climbing into one of the sewer grates with a buddy, and traversing a length of pipe that opened up into another sewer grate opening. When the flash summer storm started, it filled up the pipe underneath so they couldn't go back the way they came, so they started climbing up as the water started inching up behind them. They couldn't open the sewer grate at the other end and started screaming for help. Fortunately, a woman was nearby, heard them, came by and tried to help them with the sewer grate. She was unable to do that as well and frantically started looking around, found a large rock and started reefing on the hinges, managed to displace enough rust that they were able to pry the sewer grate open, climb out. Good times. He is still a huge D&D playing geek and goes to Gen Con for the last 20 years, which reminds me, the kids in Stranger Things by now would be 40-somethings. I imagine Dustin taking over the job of Mr. Clark as the Hawkins High School science teacher and AV head. I imagine his adage to be, never stop being curious. Open every curiosity door you find. Never lock that curiosity door.
Why are you keeping this curiosity door locked?
Okay, but I thought we were on BookTube, so let's talk about the books you need to read to satiate your stranger than 80s fix. I mean, the most obvious choice is Ernest Cline's Ready Player One. While the plots are wildly divergent, This too is a huge homage to the 80s era, and it's been dialed up to 11 knowing that Steven Spielberg himself is going to be directing the movie adaptation. I can't wait. This one is a nod to all the classic 80 video games with references to Pac-Man, Joust, Defender, Galaga, all the movies like Heathers, Back to the Future, War Games, of course. It's just littered from front to back with tons and tons of 80s Easter eggs. It is his love letter to the 80s, a fantastically fun read. Stephen King is clearly a must-read follow-up. Back in the 80s, Stephen King was our J.K. Rowling. His mass-market paperbacks were traded like currency while I was in middle school and high school. Now, Firestarter is the perfect choice, what with its mysterious government institution and girl with unique abilities. Bonus points for the movie, which featured a young Drew Barrymore, who is clearly Stranger Things Patronus. She's responsible for the two movies most referenced by the series, which is Firestarter and E.T. I mean, the only way this show could have been more 80s perfect is if Drew Barrymore had played the mom and they got Andrew McCarthy to play Dr. Martin Brenner. Now, Firestarter is the obvious choice, but frankly, any of King's books during that era are just fine. There's Cujo, which was referenced in the series, different seasons, Christine, Pet Sematary, all fantastic. And I love the opening titles of the show created by Imaginary Forces, which is a subtle nod to King himself, which is an update to the immediately recognizable Stephen King font used to typify the books of that era. Paper Girls, which is written by Brian K. Vaughan, who you know as the writer of Saga. This is his love letter to the 80s, and also features a gaggle of tweens riding around town on their bicycles. In this case, they're 12-year-old girls delivering newspapers in the wee hours of the morning. It's 1988, and when one of them disappears, it's up to the remaining three to determine what has happened to her. These girls are mad, bad, and dangerous to know. Volume 1 has been released already, and the book just keeps getting better. The art by Cliff Chiang, who is best known for his work with Brian Azzarello in the New 52 Wonder Woman, is absolutely killing it here. The art is gorgeous, the story is fantastic. This is highly, highly recommended. Annihilation, Book 1 of the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. It follows this area that exists parallel to our world, but follows its own set of rules, which sounds pretty familiar. In this case, it's a swath of land in the southern United States known as Area X. It swallowed up 11 prior expeditions who have all come out and met with mysterious and untimely deaths. We're following the 12th expedition as they go in, and of course it goes south pretty darn fast. Now I loved the first book, which meant I picked up the second book, Authority, which I didn't like as much. It was more of a creepy office story. In the world of Stranger Things, it would have followed the exploits of a middle manager at the Hawkins Department of Energy who wandered around wondering why the lights kept flickering on and off. And finally, Nosferatu. While we're on the topic of creepy parallel dimensions, in this case, it's called Christmastown, and also features an ass-kicking bike-riding girl by the name of Victoria Queen, not to mention an ass-kicking librarian and a boy named Bruce Wayne. I love this creepy horror story, and extra points for the fact that it's written by Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. Anyway, I love the book. You should also check this one out. 5 books that you can read after you finish watching Stranger Things. You need to watch Stranger Things first. It's only 8 episodes and it's well worth your time. Such a great series. Anyway, I apologize. It has been a while. Things have been a little sporadic around here lately, but I hope to get back on schedule soon. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great reading week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.